An amazing undersea experience is heading to the Oslo Rep this summer. It has spectacular sea creatures and submarines, plus it's interactive, so you get to be a part of all the action. The co-creator of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Craig Francis, is here with us today. Oh, thank you for coming. You're a very busy man right now.
I am, and I'm here with, y'all are my new best friends on Best Friends Day.
I'm
thrilled to be here.
In the back of the theater yesterday, and there were three of us, and we were going, we were so afraid you were going to hear us because we were just so stunned by what we were seeing.
Great.
I've never seen anything like that.
That's what's fun about it, is that it doesn't look like anything else you've seen. We took this classic adventure of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I'd read it as a kid. My co-creator, Rick Miller, had read it as a kid. It goes in a submarine, under the seas, around the world. How do you create that as a piece of theater? We use projection surfaces, amazing projection design. We use some really theatrical techniques. You can see some flat pieces like old-fashioned theater, puppets, shadows. And it's all to take you on this sort of journey of the imagination back into a storybook.
Oh, my. Now, Michael, how did you change this story, which I think was written in 1870, into a very current piece?
Well, this has really come from the guys. This is really Rick and Craig. Their idea about the story is a platform for their concerns about the world. Rick, who's really the kind of creative driving force of the piece, would you say?
He's the director of it.
He's the director of it. I mean, he was doing a PhD in environmental science, and he has a real passionate engagement with the world that we're in right now and the life of the oceans and so on. And he's used this story, the story of Jules Verne's novel is absolutely being put on the stage. But for these guys, it's also a platform to think about the ocean that we're in right now. Because it turns out a lot of Jules Verne's concerns about the natural world are very, very current. Very current. And the piece it's what's fantastic for young people and for families. It makes you intensely aware. As Sarasotans, we're going to be more aware of our bay than we may have been before we saw this show. We're partnering with the Moat Marine on this. We have a partnership with them promoting the show itself as well as awareness. Because we have this extraordinary institution in Moat devoted to rescuing sea animals, which seem directly connected philosophically and in every way to the ideas behind Jules Verne's novel, and in particular these guys' concerns about what they're doing. They're working on a number of projects. This is one that came to my attention really through that, as I was very intrigued that they were doing the story and knew that people would love to see 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But what they've done is make it about much more than simply an adventure story. Taking the story to look at.
I'm intrigued about the fact that you guys have transformed the auditorium into like this big, I don't know, like a tech screen world. How did you do that?
It's a little bit like that. Well, we sort of had this idea. There's a modern character in the story who knows that Captain Nemo, if you remember the story, he goes in his submarine to escape from humanity because we've wrecked the world. And he wants to go into the oceans. Now, 150 years later, we're on the verge of wrecking the oceans. And we also wanted to bring in screens, so projections and screens. And we have an app, and we say, keep your phones on. And we have a little comic strip that you can watch at intermission.
So people will be holding their phones during the show?
No, you watch in the theater.
Okay, because that's the thing. You don't want them to...
your phone, but in the intermission, we have content. And at the end of the story, our characters interview real water scientists who are looking for solutions. So we want to take what Jules Verne did, which is thinking about the future, and let kids think that there is some hope for the future. And we had our first preview last night. We had grandparents and grandkids. And on the app, you can take your selfie and put yourself under the sea.
Well, that's what Under the Sea.
And you can send those out at intermission and take your picture and pop it into different frames. So we're taking the idea of screens on stage, off stage, and the idea of connection. Captain Nemo disconnects from humanity, and if you do that too much, that's a bad idea. So that's a good message for
Michael.
Friends Day.
It's just stunning when you're there and you see those things happen, because you have not experienced anything like this. And you can take kids who are 10 and up, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we even had younger. We had families that the parents, maybe the grandparents remember the movie, the parents are into Jules Verne, and the kids just love the adventure.
I bet. What a great summertime treat.
Absolutely.
You can find out more about when you can get tickets if you go to the website, the Oslo Rep's website. For more information, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is at the Oslo Rep through July 1st. Next, we're going to talk about the Tony Awards.
Oh.